What's up, world, and welcome back to the Global Frequency. I am your host, Nefarious, and it's Monday, which means it's time for Monday Night Raw! No, I'm kidding. It's still just featured on the Frequency, but there's no Frequency Girl, which means that we might get a little bit rowdy tonight. And my guest on this wonderful Monday night is none other than Edwin the Ace Acevedo, here to talk to us all about his new creator-owned comic book, Bloodbone Ashcan Second Chance campaign, now available on Fund My Comic. Edwin, what's up, my dude? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing okay. It's a Monday. You know, I'm a little bit disappointed that the weekend is over because that means we're back to the grind. But you know, we're gonna hang out, and that's gonna brighten my mood, hopefully. So we've already had you on here like 3 times, right? You know the deal. I ask you questions, you answer them, we try and have a little bit of fun. But remember, there is no Frequency Girl here to protect either of us. So I might go off the rails, and you're just going to have to get me, like, you know, back on the rails, okay? Why don't we start with the softball? I know you're a Darkhawk fan. What other comics did you read growing up?
Growing up, man, I was into anything that had an X in front of it. You know, huge X-Men fan, started with Uncanny X-Men, then, you know, the Jim Lee X-Men #1, that just completely just changed everything. Aside from that, Spider-Man, you know, anything Spider-Man, I was really getting. So yeah, I was heavily into Marvel, probably my first couple of years as a comic book fan. That's mostly what they had at the spinner rack where in the town that I lived in. So, you know, anything with an X, Spider-Man, and then, you know, some fringe heroes like Darkhawk, Sleepwalker, stuff like that. I used to like pick up and kind of enjoy also. So,
do you like a Deathloke? Because Deathloke was kind of in that little crew of other superheroes, like the Marvel guys, Marvel heroes that weren't like the mainstream Marvel heroes. You know, like they were like the B teams. You know, Sleepwalker. And,
all those like new characters that they launched in the '90s. You know.
I mean, they were great. I really liked them. I liked Death's Head too. Death's Head was really cool.
Death's Head too. Liam Sharp.
Was Solo a Marvel character or was he DC? Which one am I remembering? I thought Solo was a Marvel character at one point, but I could be wrong. I thought I saw like a Solo / Spider-Man crossover, but like I said, I could just be hallucinating. I do that a lot. All right, but what about comics you're reading now? I'm assuming you're not the biggest Marvel fan out of them all. So what have you done to vary your diet? What are you reading now, and is there anything on the stands that's capturing your interests?
I haven't really been reading much. Mostly I've been on the creator side of things. You know, like there's a couple exceptions. Liam Sharp, Starhenge, big Liam Sharp fan. So, you know, mostly a lot of like sketchbooks and stuff like that. Like I've been getting, Shelby just put out his recent one. Liam Sharp also had one a little earlier on. So I've mostly been enjoying a lot of art and trying to focus on kind of my storytelling and kind of the stuff that I have planned coming for the next couple of years. Yeah.
I mean, like you've been reading indie books too, right? Like I checked your Indiegogo backing profile, and I don't know if you've been too active in the last year, but you had like Undead Border, right? Lost Pages, Hybrids, Tales from the Natverse, Doom Fate, Battle Maiden, Knuckle Bomb. So there was a good variety of different titles in there, right? Like Undead Border is pretty unique. It's a lot different than the Lost Pages, which is like, you know, superhero interconnected stories, which is different from the sci-fi Tales of the Natverse, and Battle Maiden, Knuckle Bomb, which is, you know, kung fu, karate, hot booby action, right? Like, so it seems like your interests vary across a wide variety of genres within the comic book medium. Do you have one in particular that is your favorite?
Yeah, I'm a traditional superhero, you know. I
You
know
like cape
people.
shit.
Yeah, they look down on it. They think like everybody's trying to make the same comic book, but they don't have a basic understanding that superheroes are what make comics run. There's a reason why these heroes have lasted as long as they have. They're the kind of stories that they tell. That doesn't mean that I'll just read any kind of nonsense that you slop together on a page. It has to be good, it has to be interesting, it has to be different. The art has to stand out. But to
Right.
me, there's nothing better
Superheroes,
than a classic superhero comic.
it's all mythology too, right? Like there are classic heroic tales that embody timeless motifs. And if you're not utilizing those motifs to, I guess, engage in the genre, you're not really doing yourself any favors. A lot of people like to try and like do the subversion of
Mhm.
superheroes, but in order to subvert something, you still have to have something to subvert it against. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna have a shitty hero who's clumsy and they're no good, like in I don't know, Palmiotti's The Pro, right? Like she was
Yeah.
a prostitute. You still needed heroes for her to be the foil to. Otherwise, the subversion doesn't pay off, right? So
Mhm.
you still need to maintain classic elements of the trope. You can't just, throw it all to the wind. I think maybe like people have started doing that lately on forgotten that superhero archetypes are part of the superhero genre.
Yeah.
So, what do you do when you're not trying to tell stories with pictures?
I'm big into MMA. It's the thing that
Ah,
that in pro wrestling are two things that, anytime I need to wind down for a couple hours, I'm always checking stuff out, YouTube or just on the ESPN Plus or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of my two go-tos there.
yeah, word up. So I've been remiss yet again because it's Monday. I can't keep up with my own chat. We got Mo Biggs. He was in there right away. I think you were technically first. So, poor
Gotcha, Mo.
Will does not get to have his three in a row. We also got Jason from Unhinged Entertainment. I think it's Unhinged Entertainment, right? It's Blood Boner time. Yes, indeed it is. We got Ichthus. What is up, Total Excellence? Tyler
What up?
wants to know if I dye my beard, so I'm going to do a little close up real quick. No, Tyler, I do not dye my beard. I shaved today, which might account for some of like the difference going on, but I do not dye my beard. I am not the human sunbeam. I am the human rain cloud. John Talk also says, in my opinion, Bloodborne Ashcan has the coolest Donald DeLay art that is out there currently. Yeah, it is actually some of Donald's best work in my opinion. But the cover that everybody sees going around on this one is done by Shelby, right? And we're going to talk about that in a hot minute, like what kind of separates the two versions. So, Mo, I'm gonna try and get to your comments, so just don't feel like you have to just not make jokes and be unsatisfied and unrequited in the chat. I will do my best. Snuggy is here. What up,
Well, what up,
players?
Snuggy?
He's giving everybody the elbow cough. What's up, Snugs? Glad to have you. So, what inspired you to start making indie comics in the first place, and how did you become a creator?
Like I said, I'm a '90s comic book baby. Like that's when I discovered them in the early '90s, uh, and they're basically the thing that in pro wrestling were my two biggest kind of loves as a kid growing up. I wanted to be a comic book artist. I wanted to join the Marvel bullpen. I used to read all the Stanley soap boxes, all that kind of stuff. So that's always been a dream of mine. And eventually,
Excelsior!
yeah, bought all that nonsense. Uh, and yeah, so once this kind of indie space popped open the last couple of years, it just felt like the mainstream wasn't really making comics for comic book fans, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what kind of re-inspired me to kind of link up with some artists with Canales and see if we can kind of tell our own stories. So that's what I've been doing the last like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, you've done quite a few, right? Mo, I know you know better than to waste your material on a Monday. Ouch. He
Look,
does
Mo,
know me though. Mo knows well.
Mo, if
Ichthus said he would. What's that?
no, I said Mo, if you want the A show, just come on the hard line. We'll call all your jokes.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, like you guys are really good about it over there on Phil's channel. We got D-Wag with us. What's up, D-Wag? I mean, I'm here by myself. That's the problem, Edwin. If I had my co-host, we would be reading the chat all night long. When there's like 6 of you guys on that panel, I feel like it's not a fair fight, right? Like I'm fighting with one hand behind my back here, and I'm not trained in MMA. So, last time you were here, right, we talked about the First Chance campaign for Bloodbone. And before that, we were talking about the Ace Volume 2 on Indiegogo. That campaign closed strong with 168 backers and $7,800. And the Ace 1 on Indiegogo closed out with 200 backers and $7,300. Now, you also did Raid of the White Leopard on Fund My Comic, which brought in over 2K from 63 backers. But the last thing I remember you doing was the Bloodbone First Chance Ashcan with the hollow cover that you could only get direct from you. How did that stack up against these other campaigns that you've run where you didn't have any sort of like public website promoting the campaign or an easy place for people to go to find it?
It didn't go as good. The people really seem to enjoy backing them through actual crowdfunded sites or your own personal sites. That's kind of a lesson that I learned. It's the reason why I've offered this up. A lot of people, it kind of went under the radar. People were like, "Oh, is that out? Is it already shipped?" They were like, "Are you doing a second chance and stuff?" So that's kind of what inspired to put out this version of it, because it kind of flew under the radar, since it wasn't like on all those kind of crowdfunded sites everybody knows.
Arroganape says FG or we riot. Then you riot. There is no FG. She's actually got auditions tonight, guys. So, a kind thought her way. You don't have to think kindly about me. I mean, no one ever does. But a kind thought her way, wishing her a little bit of good luck will probably do a lot, and she'll be all warmed and, think that you care about her, which is, I guess good, maybe. Anyway, so yeah, the last time there was no crowdfunding campaign for Bloodbone. What are you doing differently this time with the crowdfunding campaign? It's up on Fund My Comic, and I know you're going around to shows. You went around to shows last time, but is there any sort of other marketing that you're doing to get the campaign noticed now that it has more of a public face?
The biggest thing is really just, I think it's just easier for people. Once you can send them to a direct link where they can purchase it, that's really helpful. Like, some people just aren't down with sliding in your DMs, and they don't know, like, they might not use PayPal, especially during the time that I launched it, is during that big PayPal controversy. During they're talking about finding people for their comments and all this kind of weird stuff. So a lot of people just kind of ended up dumping PayPal. So yeah, it's a kind of people like, a link they can go to, a link they can share, even if they don't back it themselves. So it makes it a lot easier as far as promotion and sharing goes.
Yeah, makes sense. So last time I asked you, will we see a Bloodbone Slam Buddy? I have a Tuma over there. Is it Akula or Atuma? I can't remember. I can't keep my underwater people straight. Which one?
Akula.
Akula. I have Akula. He's right over there. I could go grab him if you want. But I would love to get a Bloodbone Slam Buddy and make him fight like we used to with our wrestling muscle men, except like these would be slam buddies. Freak Girl and I can chase each other around, smacking each other with the slam buddies.
Yeah, I'll have to get the DS boys to film a new commercial.
yeah, do that. But definitely get like think about getting a prototype. I think that would be probably pay off even more than the Akula Slam Buddy did, because like Bloodbone's almost kind of like a wrestler. He's like a badass ass beater, right? Like it kind of makes sense. All right, let's talk more about Bloodbone then. All right, so who is he and what's he all about?
Yeah, so the story of Bloodbone is kind of the closest thing I can compare it to.
That's awful.
There we go.
The Bloodbone Slam Buddy sounds like the official sex toy of 7. Yikes.
Yeah, there's so many jokes, but we'll get kicked off of YouTube if we start going down that. Yeah, so Bloodbone's the story of a man who returns to his hometown after being gone for several years away, and he discovers that it's been overtaken by a criminal organization. So he ends up becoming a vigilante to clean it up. The closest thing I can compare it to, it's just like for any frame of reference, is the first couple seasons of Arrow. For anybody who was into Arrow, the
Dude, that was
idea,
great. I
yeah, like
loved those early seasons were so good, bro.
that's kind of the
Before it
tone.
like jumped the shark and
Mhm.
went silly.
Yeah, crazy, yeah. Yes, the idea is like you don't really get to know much about Bloodbone. We start kind of revealing some stuff from his past. You don't even know his name. Barely show his face in the comic. So the idea is to build up this mystery and backstory about this guy who's been through a lot of stuff over the last couple of years, and when he comes back to his hometown, the town that he grew up in, that he loved, just kind of looking to find himself again. He sees that it's been basically destroyed. This criminal organization has basically ended up turning it from a beautiful metropolis to Gotham. They basically bought
Yeah.
off the politicians, the cops, and a lot of people are suffering. So Bloodbone, is basically dropped into this where he's not having any of it, and so he basically uses the skills that he's gained in his time away to take care of things how he knows how.
I have described him to people as Wreck-It Ralph or Brutus the Badass wearing a grifter mask. Who designed the character?
The initial design was by Joe Ball. The
Ah,
blood, yeah, the Bloodbone that you see now though, that's Donald. He
yeah.
kind of reworked the mask. He reworked the singlet. He did put like the little tape around the fist, all that kind of stuff. That was kind of his.
So he used less lines, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
much less on yeah.
Lot less cross hatching. Okay. I would love to see that original design at some point.
Oh yeah, I
I
still
would.
have it. I'll probably look to share it because me and Joe we're doing
Yeah.
a big Bloodbone #1 next year, so I'll probably
Fuck
add
yeah,
that
man.
additional
I
material.
he and I were arguing. I mean, not really arguing, but like conversing. I'd say a little bit earlier today about Bloodbone, and I was like, why isn't Edwin including the Ashcan material in that issue, in issue 1? Because issue 1, like it's a separate story. It connects with the Ashcan, which is different material, but it's almost like the smaller story, 12 pages, right, it could be included in that. Instead, you have to do like a whole separate issue. I don't know. We'll get to some of the other stuff we were talking about later, but it's exciting to know that there's going to be a full-sized issue of Bloodbone on the horizon. But anyway, so you told me who he is and what he's about. Who are his primary antagonists? I know you said like scumbags who bought off the politicians, but can you give me anything more than that?
Sure. Yeah. So, like I said, his main enemy is this organization. You can basically put any kind of evil corporation that you like in its place, but basically, they basically taken over this city for a specific reason, and the idea is like Bloodbone, basically trying to figure out who and why. So along the way, he's
Mm-hmm.
going to meet a lot of kind of the minions that you see in like the Ashcan. Basically, the Ashcan, the story Donald does is there's this meeting of some of the minions and one of their like bosses called Massive, and Bloodbone ends up interrupting the meeting and just causing chaos and just tearing shit up and killing everybody. And basically, he sends a message to the leader of this corporation that he's going to be a threat to deal with. So we're gonna see like this corporation is gonna be hiring out some contractors to come and to take Bloodbone down, and that's a lot of like the villains we'll be dealing with in the first couple of issues.
But it's all like street level type stuff, right? Like
Yeah,
there's no superheroes, so he's more like a daredevil but on steroids with a cool mask who could just beat ass. Is there anything super powered about him? He looks like he's a little bit bigger than your average man.
yeah, he is. Like I said, uh, I compare a lot of the characters. They're basically enhanced, like super enhanced humans.
Oh, so
They
they're
don't
exceps.
Yeah, so like like Bloodbone himself does have super strength. He does have like you call it like a speed burst. Like he can kind of just go from here to there pretty quickly, like in a blast. He can take a lot of punishment. His skin is kind of like designed to take damage from like shells and everything. So they're kind of enhancements that him and like the contractors that he faces off with have some too. But there's nothing like there's no big superpowers. There's no Superman analogs. There's no Wonder Womans. There's no like even people who have tech, they have like enhanced tech. They don't have anything. There's no Iron Mans that are going to show up. But I kind of do a complete 180 from the Ace in this universe. It's his own thing. It doesn't mix up with anything else. It's a lot more street level, a lot more gritty, a lot more kind of street level.
So, as far as the art is concerned, right? Why did you pick Donald and tell me it's because of Brutus the Badass?
No, it is. I love Brutus. It's
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. Yeah, that's
I,
absolutely it.
I love working with Donald. He's done several covers for me. He's done this Ashcan. I've done some personal commissions with him, and he's super easy to work with. And when I came up with the idea and the script, the only person that I could imagine bringing it to life was him. I was lucky enough. He basically kind of had a window open to do some pages, and like I said, it wasn't like a full issue that he had to do, so he was down with it, and he was excited to work on the character. And I'm one of those people, I thrive off that enthusiasm. If you're excited, and I'm excited about the project, let's go and let's do it. And that's kind of how we linked up.
So what's the difference between the story in the Ashcan and the story that's coming next year?
Yeah, so the Ashcan basically just throws you into the story. Like I said, Bloodbone interrupts this meeting of this a lot of kind of the low level guys for the corporation, and he just tears shit up. It's basically sending a message. He basically wants the word of mouth to go to this corporation to be like, hey, this guy's going to be a problem. During the Bloodbone #1, we kind of expand more on some of the characters from the corporation. You get to see like different villains introduced. You kind of see some of Bloodbone's backstory, which you don't really see in the Ashcan at all. We give you some hints at his past and what he's about. So there's just a deeper kind of story with the #1. And the Ashcan is basically just balls to the wall action, just kind of hits you right in the mouth and just get right into it.
That's what we want, though. Like, we want exciting pages to look at that are a thrill. We want comic books again, right? Like, I'm so sick of mainstream Marvel 9 grid just faces in a row talking, or people sitting around the table eating spaghetti, or going to fashion shows. I want violence in my superhero comics.
Violence,
I want people
action.
like striving for heroic goals and doing heroic things and taking risks and getting hurt and rising from defeat to try again. Like, I want drama and action and excitement, and it feels like it's been a really long time since I've had something like that in a big two book that I've read. But then again, I've been staying away from DC since they did Death Metal, because I'm burnt out on DC pretty much entirely. Well, that's not true. I did read the Silvestri Batman arc, and that was fantastic. I thought that was great. But for the most part, I haven't read a lot of Marvel either, and I don't know what kind of superhero stuff's going on there. I think DC kind of has the more cape-oriented superheroes, right? Marvel's got more like, I don't know. Would you consider Avengers like cape-style superheroes? They're not Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, the type of traditional Justice League style superheroes, right? Can't forget the Flash.
Yeah.
I'm forwarding that to Steve. Oh, yes. Ewok Jawa death match. You guys should do like a death battle kind of thing. Narrate like a skit about like what it would be like for a Jawa to fight an Ewok. Like what are the Ewok's strengths versus the Jawa, and then both of you make like an argument about how the battle would go. It'd be a lot to ask to have it like pseudo animated, so I'm not gonna go that far, but that would be a great part of the Blue Milk Social. Have you ever seen the Blue Milk Social, Edwin? It's a
No, I don't think I have.
show on Steve That Star Wars Boys channel, and it is starring 3 of the most creative and comedic hosts that are on YouTube right now, and that would be Crazy Mad Ape and Steve, and they talk about all things Star Wars, and there are hilarious little shorts and skits and stuff that's, you know, reminiscent of the type of show, the variety show that Steve did earlier with Good Stuff and D-Wag, and, you know, the type of programming that he put
Yeah,
out.
those are always fun. Yeah.
It's a blast. The only problem is it's on at like 1 a.m, and I'm usually asleep by then. So I got to catch it on the replay.
That's my time of night. I'm always looking for something to watch during that time.
Well, then fucking do it, because I think the best part of a show like that is watching it live and getting to react to what you're watching to. Because I find myself going, damn, and like getting all excited. There's just no one for me to share my excitement with other than go in the comments and be like, that was great, you guys. And then I feel like a loser. All right, so tell me more about the Ashcan, right? It's small sized, it's black and white. The first one was 12 pages, but this one is 16. It has 4 additional pages, right? Tell me about those.
So yeah, I hooked up with Maxi Dallo. It's actually the 4-page story was actually going to go into something else, but I think that's on hold. So you know, I had this 4-page story that was already done. It kind of expands a little bit into some of the people of the city and how they feel about Bloodbone. So, you know, I thought, like, you know, if I'm going to do a second chance, why not offer some more bonus material? You know, that's kind of be like a nice little draw. Get Maxi, who's just a tremendous artist. He's worked with Phil and a bunch of other people. And I just love his take on Bloodbone. He sent me like character sketches. And even though it's different from Donald, like it captures the same essence. And he also stands out with the deep blacks, with the inks and all that stuff. So, you know, I thought, like, hey, we'll put this together and, you know, get that covered by Shelby, and we'll be ready to go.
Definitely. Yeah, Maxi used to work with Steve Dallo. Or no, I'm sorry, with Steve Cannon. Maxi Dallo used to work with Steve Cannon on Jack Irons. And now the color work that I've seen, he's done stuff with Mike Spicer for Adam Lawson, and Spicer's great. You would get Shelby to color him?
I'm not sure. I like
Who would you get to color Maxi?
I like Bloodbone in black and white. The more I've gotten pages from Joe
come
Ball,
on, that logo is so good in color. The cover is so good in
colors and all that. You'll get all that. But I like the grittiness of it, you know? Like, I can be convinced if there's enough demand, but like I said, I've seen Joe Ball pages, you know, the lines and all that. Like, it's
I've seen him too.
Beautiful. You know? It's a monster. It's a monster.
Yeah, but you know that, I mean, he also offered Death in color, I believe, right? He offered it in color and in black and white and in manga form.
It cost him a long, so, you know.
Yeah,
you see him at his drawing table.
I mean, but that's the thing. He does his own stuff, right?
Yes.
He does all of his own work.
That literally does everything on the comic book. The sound effects, the lettering, literally at his table, just you know, it's madness. Like, you know, I love the guy, but I was just like, I would never in my life.
That's way too much. What's way too much? I mean, even when I'm, you know, spearheading a project as the editor, and I'm kind of responsible for quality control and synergy between all of the different parts of the comic book, I still am not the one that has to actually do each page, right? And that's nuts. Mo says, the problem with Blue Milk Social is that their antics have emboldened Aldous and Josh to treat me the way I treat others on the gutter. If I enjoyed the taste of my own medicine, I would ask for it. Even Neff uses the M word with impunity now. It was me. I'm in the chat. You can time me out, Mo. I'm there. So the original Ashcan had a really sexy cover, right? Was it hollow foil?
Yeah, beautiful foil cover.
Beautiful foil cover, 12 pages, $20 with free shipping, right? I think that was one of the cool selling points for me, was that it had free shipping, and I like me some free shipping. This time it's got those extra 4 pages from Maxi, bringing it up to a 16-page comic. Now that's not including the exterior covers, right? That's like 16 interior pages, right?
Yep.
Yeah. and that's for $15. What's your shipping for North America?
It's $5.
$5. Okay, that's great. So it's back to being $20. That's awesome. And this one has a Shelby cover, but it's not like holofoil or anything. It's just a regular cover. And I assume that's because you want to keep the first printing of Bloodbone with the holofoil scarce, right? You want to like make it a collector's issue. Now, I have to ask, I know it was a low count print run. How many did you print?
I would have to get back to you on that. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
And did you number them?
I didn't.
Okay. So it's a limited print run, small number of print run, but we're not sure how many, and they're not numbered. But you signed them, right?
No.
Oh, so people are going to come find you to get them signed to make them like collectors items.
I'll gladly sign anything you bring to me, but I don't sign my own comics. Right. I feel weird about it.
Me too.
Just like I've had a couple of friends, come up to me and I've done it for them, but it feels like blasphemy to like
right. You know what? I don't disagree.
That I love. Like I'm such a fan of like the work these guys have done for me. So like I'm just like, look, can I sign the back of it? Like I'll sign the John Aces logo on the back, but I don't want to touch the art. It's just I just think that's crazy to me. But
so I always sign it on the inside of the front cover where the trade dress is on the inside interior front cover, because there's like my name, the artist, the letterer, the editor, and I sign it like on or right above my name so that other people, if they want, they can sign there or whatever. The covers are usually like gloss, right? So it's hard sometimes for the markers to really take to that. So I always do it on the inside, and I don't sign my books going out, and I don't charge for signatures at conventions, but it's funny because when people buy from me, I always ask, hey, do you want it signed? And I've never had someone say no. So that's kind of cool, right? Like creators should, feel confident providing a signed work to their customers, because for some reason customers think that's cool, except when they find out you're not the artist, and then they don't want to buy the book at all because they're like, oh, you wrote it and created it and came up with all the characters and the story and the plot and did all the concept art and did all the turnarounds and envisioned everything and like picked the colors and brought on the letterer and did all of that. Yeah, but you didn't draw it, so fuck you. Yeah, that's the best at conventions. That's my favorite. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done a comic book convention?
No, not yet. I've actually inquired to a couple local ones. I think
that's cool.
So I'm in the process of filling out some applications and seeing if I can maybe
definitely look into it, man. Definitely look into it and make sure you have enough product. And definitely look at how best to cover your table, right? Because your table fee is always something that you're going to have to consider. I mean, some people are willing to take the loss on the table fee if it means you can get a lot of your comic books out there. And I support that, depending upon the convention, but we all want to break even, right? We all want to, at the end of the day, be able to make money on this, or at least not lose money on this. So let me ask then, since we're talking about money, the first book was $20 with free shipping. This one's $15 with 5 shipping, making it also $20. But you have a new cover from Shelby, which is in color, and you have 4 pages from Maxi. And that's additional material that you had to front the cost for out of pocket, I'm assuming, because I'm assuming that it's all already done. Mm-hmm. Right? But this is an Ashcan, so it's smaller size. And we printed our 14-page full-size black and white Ashcan at $1 domestically. So you're making a good return, right? About $14, because the $5 will handle the shipping. You don't really have to worry about being more than a pound, so you can do the media mail or the pirate ship pound less promotion. How many are you going to need to sell in order to be able to cover your expenses for the Shelby cover and for Maxi's art before you start seeing any sort of residual profit selling this print run?
That's a great question.
I know, right? That's why I asked him.
No, I'll have to crunch the numbers on that. Honestly, with the foil Ashcan, it was pretty expensive.
Yeah, it is.
I know the cost will be a lot less with just
Right.
doing like the basic ash cans. So, but yeah, I would have to crunch the
Yeah,
numbers
a
on it.
basic ash can could probably be like a buck 20, I would say,
Yeah,
or a buck or a buck 20, depending upon where you land. The hollow foil's insane, man.
yeah,
Hollow
that
foil
was
treatment alone makes it
oof.
jump up at least $2 to $3, and if you're doing a
Beautiful,
small
but
size, it
oof,
might you go up to
oof.
5. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, it's, it's it'll be a while
It
before I
depends.
put out
Depends.
another one.
Depends where you print too, and if you get like a bigger order. And I need
Yeah,
know you did like a select small size order. It would probably be cheaper to do like 3,000 units of hollow foil than
yeah,
to just do like 100 or something. But that makes them more collectible, and I definitely understand that. So, uh, people who got the first book, the one with the hollow foil, when they get this one, they're dropping $20, right? For the additional 4 pages and the Shelby cover, right? Are you offering any sort of deal or discount to get those people interested in? Oh hell yeah! I mean, if I'm getting a price break on the new one, I'm definitely gonna snag that. Or, did you think about doing like a half price for people who already own the first Ashcan?
yeah. I did a lot of kind of had a lot of thoughts about pricing. Uh, I just thought it's just simpler to make each campaign that I do make it that
Yeah.
campaign. So
Well,
not to
what I
like
mean is,
stuff in the
on
world.
Fund My Comic, they have coupon codes.
Hmm.
Like there's a section where you can enter in a coupon code. You have everybody's email
Hmm.
who bought a first edition Bloodbone from you. You could just make a coupon code and fire it off to these people and be like, yo, for the next 7 days, this code is valid. And since you backed the first one, you can get the second one at half price because you already paid for the material and the sparkly cover. Now I'm giving you the chance to get the other. And it's almost like, well, why the heck wouldn't I do that, right? Like,
Yeah,
as a backer, I'm like, oh hell yeah, he's giving me a break. I'm gonna get this one because I'm missing 4 pages. I put up $20 to get Bloodbone Ashcan #1. So I'm interested in Bloodbone.
yeah,
But I might not pay for it all again. But there's 4 pages, that nagging desire for the 4 pages. You might actually drum up some sales by going, yo, however many of you bought the first one, come get the second. Because in my mind, it's always better to sell something for $5 than not sell it for $10. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I'm always of the mind of, if I can make a deal on the sale, but get the sale, that's money coming into my pocket
mhm.
versus a book sitting unsold on my table that I can't eat or feed my family with.
Yeah, for sure. I actually did a coupon code for this
Nice.
for anybody who signed up for the mailing list. So we
Perfect.
ran that a couple of months, so anybody gets a discount on it. That was sent out last Monday when before launch. Anybody
That's fantastic.
who might be on the fence about it, check your emails.
I'm
You
gonna
should
do
have
that right now.
some
I'm
code. Yeah.
gonna do that right now. I'm gonna check my email right now. I actually have to go into the project's email for that because whenever we sign up for an email mailing list, it's the projects at theglobalfrequency.org email address rather than my personal email because we get too many emails as is. So, what are the payment and processing fees on Fund My Comic like compared to the payment and processing fees on PayPal? Given that we have a platform where you can put the book and advertise it along with all these other comic books on this awesome crowdfunding website almost exclusively for comic books and printed materials, which gets you more traffic, right?
Mhm.
What's the difference between the type of cut that Fund My Comic takes versus the cut that PayPal takes?
I believe for like an exclusive campaign, for my comics doing 2%. So yeah, this is gonna be an exclusive. PayPal might be 4.
Yeah.
It also depends
So
if
it's
you use
almost
filter services or you use friends and family.
right.
If you use
And
friends
that's
and
what you
family,
did for
then
the
they'll be
first one, right? That's what you did for the first campaign, for the first Ash can.
yep,
You did it through your PayPal, right?
mhm, yep,
Yeah. So this actually might be more lucrative for you too to run it on a on a website where the e-commerce processing fee is lower. I don't know about what the credit card processing fees look like because, Stripe is Stripe, right? They're probably the same across both platforms. I don't think PayPal would give you a discount on that processing fee. But compared to Indiegogo, I think that's, no matter which way you cut it, both of those are better options, right?
Definitely.
However, Indiegogo still seems to get more traffic. Have you ever considered doing a Ace catch-up campaign on Fund My Comic? Because you ran Raid of the White Leopard there, and Raid of the White Leopard brought in like 2K, right? Or just over 2K from like 63 people. But the Ace is still your highest selling title with 200 backers on the first one and then like 170 on the second one. And that's more than twice as many backers as you got on Raid of the White Leopard. So I'm wondering if the Ace, with the size that it is, because it's more pages, right? Yep. If you did the Ace 1 and 2 on Fund My Comic, would that bring in maybe even more backers? And since it's all material you already published, it would just be easy to do like a issues 1 and 2 together kind of deal. Would you ever consider doing that and compare how that book performs on Fund My Comic to how it originally performed on Indiegogo?
Yeah, I've actually set up to do an Ace kind of
perfect
campaign on Fund My
You're
Comic.
Smart. Yeah, smart guy.
Just
always thought so. So, have you been marketing Bloodbone mainly over social media like Twitter and YouTube, or have you been exploring other avenues to get eyes on the book? Maybe like go to a WWE event and like hold up a sign with the logo on it and then like the link to it, like when Phil went to the wrestling match. Was it Phil that went to the wrestling match?
Yep,
and he held up the thing?
giant cornet head. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any local big events like that, but that could definitely be an idea.
I mean, it doesn't have to be big. It could be small. You could sponsor a local wrestler. You could get him to like get like the blonde hair and then the mask and have him just like do a Bloodbone thing and have a local wrestler, the backyard wrestler, kind of dress up for you and just be Bloodbone one time and then be like, yo, this Ashcan, check it out, right? Like, I don't know. I'm always in the mind of what can we do to sell our books that we're not doing yet, and how can we have fun doing it, and how can we do it effectively? Where will the book sell that we are not? Like, I use the example a lot, but when Dojo was on the show with the book that he's doing now, The Shifter, which is a YA novel, right, for young readers that is adapted. It's a graphic novel adapted from that book. I'm like, Janice Hardy's got to have a fan base, right? Most of her fans are going to be young kids who read this book, and it's probably in libraries. Why aren't you hitting up your local libraries, dropping off flyers, or going to places where they have kids' books like Janice Hardy's Healing Wars, and then dropping, info for your graphic novel there? Where could you go to find an audience that would be enthused about Bloodbone and probably interested in buying it just because they exist and you went and found them? How do you find your market?
That's a good point. I mean, there is a local comic shop around here that's pretty big.
No, not comics. Comic books are for comic book people. We're talking about Bloodbone for Bloodbone people. Like, he's an ass kicker, right? And you like mixed martial arts and MMA, right? Like, that is mixed martial arts. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Could you go to like an MMA gym and be like, check out my comic book. I'll wrestle anybody in here to get a look at my comic book. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's it's not necessarily, they don't know. Yeah, they don't know comics, right? Like, obviously, they're not comic book fans. You're trying to find a market that's untapped, and that's your market, right? You could just come in, like, with your belt on, right? Your belt, and be all like, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Go out and have fun with it. Try and find people who... What's that?
Show up in some white trunks and have the Bloodbone Championship belt over my shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. And fucking film it and throw that shit on TikTok. and throw it on TikTok and get 1,000 views, and on TikTok link it to the campaign, and then watch people just start flooding there being like, yeah, all right, I'll grab this thing for $20. Sure.
Oh God, that's great.
Hold on real quick. I got to say hi to some more people because I'm not paying attention to my chat again. We've got Neostar. What is up? Riserman, the brilliant star that shines through the night, the jagged rock in the boat of crime. That's fantastic. We've got, Snuggy says, I don't like creators to scribble on my stuff. So that's back when we were talking about signing in the books. And sign my baby. You have to sign my baby. All right. We got Jim Cox with us. What is up, Jim Cox? Been a while, my friend. Glad to see you here with us, joining us, talking about Bloodbone with Edwin the Ace Acevedo. We got Sim with us. What is up, Sim? Another friendly face to have on the channel. We're always happy to have Sim here. We were actually just mentioning Tales of the Natverse earlier. Both Edwin and I backed it. We were just, brought it up. Mobig says, who wants to be my slam buddy? Rear naked chokes for buddy. That's what I'm talking about, man. Like, that 6 a.m. does the CG WrestleMania thing, right? Yeah. I know that they have wrestling games now, like they used to back in the day with the WWE 98 or whatever it was when I was playing those games, and you can make your custom wrestlers. What if you made Bloodbone the wrestler and then just did like a playthrough or something and like threw it up on your channel? You never know what kind of like interest you might get, right? Like this is the type of marketing we got to think about. Like, how are we going to get our character, our product in front of people who want it and don't know they want it? And there's a market for Bloodbone where people will see it and be like, hell yeah, brother, here's my money, and they don't even need as soon as they see it, they want it, they'll buy it. That's the market that you're trying to find. Not someone you have to sell it on, not someone you have to convince to buy it. People who automatically want to buy it, they just don't know it exists. Ictus says this Ashcan's going to be a stunner. I see what he did there. This Ashcan is stone cold, baby. Stone cold. All right. So what have you learned from your past experiences crowdfunding?
Oh man, I learned from every campaign, every project, the idea of how to promote, how to pace myself in promoting, what stuff works, what stuff doesn't work. Like I learned, what people want to see, what they don't want to see. Like, I take different lessons once I do I take some time from campaigns after I fulfilled them and stuff. I'll usually go back and kind of see like where stuff worked, where it didn't, kind of where was my heaviest backings, when kind of did stuff dry up, is there anything I could do to kind of get a second wind to it? So yeah, you're always learning on each campaign, and since a lot of these are different IPs, it's a little different,
Yep. I love Maxie's speed lines. I've always loved the speed lines that he does in particular. I'm a fan of them in general, but they're great. Oh, you got SK doing your letters. Awesome. I didn't realize. SK is like very reliable letterer.
Super reliable, super quick.
Yep. Always quick, not expensive. Really nice to have him on the book. All right. So is there any advice that you have for creators who are just starting off in making indie comics, and why the hell would you want to start making indie comics?
Yeah, that's man, probably the biggest
time and money and dedication. Comics break your heart, man. Why would you ever want to do it? But if they did, what would you tell them?
Don't show your frustration. That's one of the biggest things I see is different creators lamenting publicly about campaign didn't do X or didn't do Y, or different. Nobody wants to see that, even if
that's good.
Even what you're saying.
I mean, I thought
nobody wants to see it.
I thought you were gonna say don't show your frustration in general, and I was gonna say, well, I'm fucked because I am always talking about why I'm fucking
Yeah.
frustrated with
Mhm.
indie comics and fuck this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't complain and bitch and moan if my campaign isn't doing what I want it to. And I certainly like, you know, take the bad situation that you're in, whatever, and try and use it to your advantage. Don't get discouraged. I agree with you. Don't piss and vinegar and, you know, be a bitch because your shit ain't selling. Go sell it. Go figure out how. And then complain about everyone else who's not working as hard as you are. That you can get frustrated
Yeah.
about. Sure. Man, look at this cover for a hot second. Look at
So
this.
good.
Looks
I
so
own the
good.
original art for this. Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah, that makes sense. You paid for it, right? Oh yeah, I love Shelby, man. Shelby stuff is so it's so dynamic, right? It's so personalized. Okay, so do you want to get like the last word here? Is there anything you want to tell people other than like back Bloodbone? Do you want to shout out
Sure.
to your mom or something? I don't know. Here's your
My mom
chance.
would never watch a YouTube stream in her life. Keep family away from YouTube. That's what I say. Keep them away
Yeah,
from the live.
right. Probably a good idea.
No, I just want to say thanks to everybody who's backed it and shown excitement for it. You know, everybody who's been posting about getting Raid of the White Leopard. It's about halfway shipped out to everybody. It's another have to
Right.
go.
I wanted to show that real quick
Yeah.
because that was also on Fund My Comic, and I wanted to just bring that up right here. I had the tab open and everything too. But yo, look at this, right? Look at that. Oh, it looks so good.
And Donald again striking right there.
Yep.
That cover.
Gotta ask you, this was a lower page count book too, right?
Mhm.
How are you seeing the return on investment be with a lower page count book? Because you don't have to complete so many pages of art, right?
Mhm.
And it's also cheaper to produce, right? Are you seeing the same type of interest in return from the backers? Like, do you have enough people interested in the book that it's viable, or is it harder to sell a book with less pages?
No, I found it to be about the same. I haven't
Okay,
really
so
had any issues, like especially as cost. Like the Ace campaigns are just bigger overall, so they're just more involved with extra stuff and stretch goals and all this kind of stuff. So basically, the return on investment has been about the same for like a smaller campaign as it's been
yeah,
with
this
Ace.
seems like a much more of a money maker if
Yeah.
it's got less pages that you have to pay for,
Mhm.
less, less art, less pages that you have to print. Books overall are cheaper, which lowers the shipping cost, and you're not, you're keeping it lean. It seems like this is probably a more lucrative approach to crowdfunding these books. You got any more Raid of the White Leopard in store for us?
Oh yeah, it's coming. Right now, I'm just
Nice.
finishing up the script for book 2. Kind of going through some ideas
Cool.
and kind of making sure it's right. I always like to make sure the script is fully ready before I give it to my artist and get them going on it. So just tightening up some things and kind of making sure we're wanting to go.
We got Shadowpunk with us. What is up, Shadowpunk? He says that's
Shout out,
some
Shadow.
good advice and an insane image right there. I know, right?
Delivery.
This reminds me of the Jaguar. Do you remember that character, the Jaguar?
Mhm.
Yeah, that looks so good. I love that. That's cool though. What's next for you after Bloodbone Ashcan Second Chance? What's the next?
Yeah.
Are we going to see another Ace, another
Ace,
Raid of the White
Ace,
Leopard?
Ace Volume 3 coming early next year. It's about
Oh
halfway
yeah,
colored
baby.
right now. So I'm just waiting to finish it up, getting colored, and then, like I said, SK should be super quick with the lettering, and then it'll be all completely done by the time we relaunch the campaign. It'll be 100% ready to go.
So despite the sort of like, I don't know if evaporating is the right word, but the dwindling support on Indiegogo and on Fund My Comic for crowdfunding endeavors overall, despite that, you're not slowing down.
Nope, I got our 5-year plan, so we're about year 3 of it. So we'll see
Right.
where we land after 5.
Edwin says he was saying my advice, or I'm sorry, Mo was saying he was saying my advice was good for when people demand to know why you got into indie comics, and that I assume has something to do with crack. Whereas Your ass just got Bloodbone. No, that wasn't it. Nice effect. Crack. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Mo was.
Whatever it was good. Mo
Yeah.
always gives sage advice, so we appreciate that.
More than likely, yeah. Shadowpunk says, always heed the words of Mo Biggs. This is true. Something we all know. Okay, cool. So I think we should probably wrap it up there, right? Unless there's anything that we forgot to talk about.
No, pretty much covered everything I want to talk about. Shout out to the chat. You guys are hilarious. I don't think I've laughed this hard on the stream since the last Hardline. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I got to tune into Hardline more often. I get there sometimes, but I always get there late, you know? But it looks like a good free-for-all. So thanks so much for coming, everybody. Really appreciate turning out. Talk to Edwin about the Bloodbone Second Chance campaign on Fund My Comic. Pick up the book if you can. If you missed the first one, you're definitely going to want to pick this one up. It's a little bit more affordable, and it's got bonus content. And it winds up being the same price as the first book, which is really nice to see that Edwin made the prices hit an equilibrium despite the first one having that holofoil cover. If you like the content, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and you can always click the bell to find out when we go live next. Appreciate you showing up, and don't forget to tune into the frequency. We will see you next time.
Peace.